This is the Birdsville Track, a 520-kilometre stretch between Maree in South Australia's north and Birdsville in Queensland's west. Out here, it doesn't rain often.
It's desert country, like it definitely is. I think we've got 120 or 30 mil rainfall average a year, I suppose. And
you'd be in drought more than at least half the time anyway. You're in drought.
Passing through the Tarari, Sturt Stoney and Strzelecki deserts, the track is the official address of fewer than a dozen pastoral stations, one pub, and now a boat named Margaret.
Well, Adelaide's 800 kilometres that way, Birdsville and the Queensland border 400 kilometres that way, and this is Margaret. Nobody knows where she got the name, but apparently it's bad luck to change it now. She's come from the northwest of WA and she's helping to ferry precious cargo like these cattle across the floodwaters of the Cooper Creek.
I reckon it looks like a floating steel tank, actually. There's a ramp on each end. It's pretty amazing because I thought when we put a truck on it it'd sink down more. Yeah, but it didn't there.
To understand how this cattle-carrying barge came to be in the middle of the driest inhabited continent, we need to wind back to earlier in the year, when major storms smashed Queensland.
I have never seen so many flood warnings at one time.
My mum's never, she's been here on and off her whole life and she's never seen it flood like this.
Speaking from Dalcanina Station at the southern end of the Birdsville Track, pastoralist David Bell explains how Queensland's floodwaters have slowly drained into South Australia via the Diamantina River.
It's probably in the top 4 or 5 floods that they've had, so it's big enough.
And then the Cooper Creek.
And the Cooper's the same. It's probably in the top 3 or 4 floods that they've had, so it's it had some size about it, that's for sure.
As the floodwaters made their way to low-lying Cutitunda Layer, they cut the Birdsville Track, and those living between found themselves on an inland island.
We had a plane here, he come and got a bit of tuck a couple of times. There was only probably a few-week period where we were shut off from the north and south. So it'd come from the south for a fair while, and when that shut, it was only a couple of weeks to get out from the north.
Pastoralist Pete Nunn was one of those in the middle and reckons it wasn't all bad.
We always love a flood, eh? We always think, you beauty, We've forgotten about fat bullocks before it gets here. So, we like a good flood. So as bad as it sounds for everyone else who got damaged, we think a flood's good.
The floods bring life to the arid outback, giving the livestock industry a major kick.
Good country for cattle. Yeah, good cattle country. It's not very high carrying capacity country, but it will fatten them up. Yeah, bloody oath.
Pete manages one of the largest cattle stations in the world, Clifton Hills.
4.5 million acres, probably 16.5, nearly 17,000 square kilometres.
That sounds like hard work.
Nah, it's easy. Good fun.
He says this year a quarter to a third of Clifton Hills went underwater. While these horses might have been briefly caught out, the flooding's meant there's now plenty of feed, which is handy given the number of cattle.
We're governed by the pastoral board, and our carrying capacity is sort of 21,500. So, we don't go above that.
Are the cattle numbers changing with the weather?
We go up and down like a yo-yo. When it's dry, you truck them out. When it's good, you truck them in.
These pictures show a similar situation at neighbouring Cowrie Station, where this month huge numbers of cattle are being mustered and loaded onto trucks.
That's how the barge talk come about.
With cattle in great condition ready to come off the stations, and with the Cooper blocking the road, the community was keen to see access restored as soon as possible.
We wanted to make sure that we had the facilities to be able to keep our businesses running. A lot of us had, because it's been so dry south, we had cattle on adjustment up that way, so we wanted to make sure that we could access those and get them out to our market when we needed to,
David, who's the Northern Chair of Livestock SA, says there's been smaller boats cross the Cooper in previous floods, but none large enough to handle a road train loaded with cattle.
There was all sorts of talk about, bridges and those sort of things. They probably ran out of time a little bit for all that stuff to happen, so the barge was the smart idea.
Landline had been driving north to meet with David and Pete and to see the cattle coming off the flood country when the itinerary flipped.
The Birdsville Track and our car had other plans. The car's been towed, and thanks to the kindness and generosity of those we met on the track, we're now safe and sound in Maree.
The unexpected stop is a chance to learn more about the outback.
It's beautiful country.
I just like the open areas, the flies, the heat, the dust.
Every 50 kilometres the dirt changes, it's different colours, it's all that sort of stuff.
I just think it's most wonderful to be brought up in a country town.
Under the hotel's veranda, we find Helen Cruz, who lives in Adelaide but grew up here in Maree.
When I heard the Cooper was down, I thought I really want to come and see that.
Helen's dad was Tom Cruz, a legend of the outback.
He's the dinner calling Mocha. Tom is arriving Birdsville.
In the 1950s, a feature film, The Back of Beyond, documented how he'd deliver the mail on the Birdsville track from his Leyland Badger.
Be in school and you'd just hear the truck come over the line and you'd know Dad would be home from Birdsville.
There's not many famous posties in Australia, but maybe your dad was one of them.
Dad was doing his job. He did the same as everybody else.
What would your dad do if he broke down on the Birdsville track?
You'd have to find a way to fix it yourself. They had to improvise with a lot of things back those days, and that was everybody, not just Dad.
Thanks to the generosity of the people we met in Maree, we were able to improvise with a borrowed vehicle. We wouldn't make it to Clifton Hills, but we were back on the Birdsville track and heading north to see the Cooper Creek in flood and the barge at work.
Yeah, they actually are. They are pretty good. They're good cattle. Yeah, all the cattle have been out there, been on and off the truck a few times, so they're pretty good.
These cattle from Cowrie Station are headed south to Narracourt. The 15 or so minute crossing, a chance to catch up with truck driver Steve Mitchell.
This is probably the smoothest whole trip it is on this.
What's the rest of the track like?
The road's pretty ordinary, but as you can imagine, there's a lot of trucks in and out, so it's hard to keep up with that. But yeah, this would probably be the smoothest bit of the whole trip.
Truck driver Wade Fosh is heading north with precious cargo of a different kind.
The most important stuff that's available up here for everybody is the beer.
Before the Cooper Creek barge opened, he'd take a detour to deliver groceries from Adelaide to those living at the top of the Birdsville track.
We had to go up through Broken Hill to Tipperburra. From there, it's up through to Nakundra across to Windora, and then into the back way of Birdsville. I think we worked it out about 560 k's longer, so it was 1,120 kilometres extra on the trip.
If you could be delivering these groceries in Adelaide or up here, what would you prefer?
Nah, I'd rather do it around here. Adelaide, me working local in Adelaide, things don't mix.
It costs cars $25 and large trucks $750 per one-way crossing. The South Australian and Commonwealth governments have spent more than $27 million bringing the barge to the outback. In a matter of months, not only did the barge come from Karratha in WA, but more than 45 kilometres of road needed to be built to support the cranes and construction equipment coming into the Cooper, and since it opened in early November, the onslaught of road trains now heading out. The state's Infrastructure Minister, Emily Burke, says the barge is now operating 24/7 to help shift the backlog of cattle before the weather gets too hot.
So we know that there is about 50,000 head of cattle that can now be brought and kept in South Australia. That's how many head of cattle were stuck in that community.
She says the barge is as much about helping those up country as it is about the meat workers at Narracourt and Murray Bridge at the opposite end of SA.
What we want to make sure is we can guarantee that we're not going to have jobs lost at our abattoirs. We knew there was a potential of about $18 million worth of lost revenue for them, which would have put pressure on those industries and the people that work there.
Jack Thomas says the barge gives Thomas Foods International access not just to cattle on the Birdsville track, but into Queensland and the Northern Territory too.
Yeah, so with the barge now, pastoralists and producers out of southwest Queensland are actually closer to Murray Bridge than they are than the major processing facilities in Brisbane. It's about 50 kilometres closer now.
Dave Bell says it's been a huge effort by industry and government.
Like, it blew our minds how big it was, and the whole infrastructure they put in place. It's everyone from up here's just gone, wow.
So I think I thought, that's what they'll get. We'll just be going to Queensland way with cattle and fuel and everything. But and then they said we're going to put this big one on, and they told us that this astronomical figure was going to cost. And I thought, how can something cost that much?
At last glance, the Cooper was sitting at around 3.6 metres deep where the barge crosses. No doubt it will fall and the road will reopen. But next time the Cooper floods, the barge will be ready to go.
We were building a barge for 50 years. We weren't trying to build it for 1 year. Like, we were trying to look at the big picture. And
I hope there's another flood. Really, I don't want to damage it, the last one done, but, hope there's another flood, grow more feed, keep the boat going, everything. We can talk about it years to come when I'm old and buggered.
Sorry we didn't make it up to see you, Pete.
That's right, we had bloody smoke going and everything for you.
Can we come back next year?
Yeah, anytime, anytime.
While we'll hold him to that, the last word is perhaps best left to Helen Cruz.
You have to come. It's wonderful to be here, to see everything. It's the heart of South Australia.
And the people who live here.
They know what to do and when to do it. It's spot on. You can't beat them. You can't beat a country man, a country person.